course I am sure you'd be able to get some fish anytime if there was an emergency. We're all exceedingly grateful to Lord Aints. He has given us so many fish. But those fish don't have any innards. How do they survive? Are they like those monsters that don't need to eat? But they don't have bones either. Those are food created by Lord Aints and the other supreme beings. The fish Cocytus had brought them came from an item called Dagda's Cauldron. What? They can simply create enough fish for us to live on. Shasryu shook his head. When Zayusu and the others visited from the supreme being's castle, they told us fantastic tales. They said that the great tomb of Nazarick contains multiple separate worlds, that it was the realm of a true god. So Lord Aints has the power of a god. Well, yeah, that should have been obvious by now. Mac cocked his head in genuine confusion. Aints Ulgaun was the greatest god and their creator. I see. Everything is thanks to him. We are very grateful. ILL let him know. 3:10:30 a.m. Nazarick time. What a racket. Silence. Aints made a sweeping motion with his left arm. Then he froze and held the pose. After a moment he returned to his original stance. What a racket. Silence. He swung his left arm and froze again. Watching himself in the full-length mirror before him, he made minute adjustments to the position of his hand. Silence. Here. No, maybe it'd be cooler to tilt my hand more to the left. He returned once more to his original stance. What a racket. Silence. Satisfied with his pose, he picked up a notepad sitting on the table next to him. Another pose down. Next up, practicing lines for buying time. He circled with a pen the lines he'd been rehearsing and then turned the page. Most of the lines written there were variations on ILL think about it. Any that were too roundabout or trying so hard to be cool that they wrapped back around to lame were crossed out. Aints was only a normal guy, so it was hard for him to act like a ruler. That's why he made sure he was prepared for anything by repeatedly rehearsing. It goes without saying that the notebook was a collection of lines he had come up with. He had already been practicing for an hour, but the word rest wasn't in his dictionary. Aints was a supreme ruler, but to be frank, he barely worked at all. The one at the top had to decide policy. So unless they were dealing with an emergency or something of high importance, he was free. Albedo took care of minor affairs, so all he had to do was look at reports. But when he read the reports, he never found anything that worried him. So he really only had to glance through them. It felt like a leader should have a heavier workload, but as long as he had Albedo and no emergencies cropped up, he figured it was fine. That's just how things work in a properly functioning organization. The one at the top didn't need to be laboring on the front lines. Outside of raising morale, there was no reason for the general of an army to be swinging his sword. It was foolish to take the risk. Really, I should be gaining knowledge, training my brain so I am prepared for an emergency. But how can I do that? Who can I get to teach me without destroying everyone's image of Aints Ulgaun? All beings in Nazarick loved, respected, and bowed down to Aints, their absolute ruler. The children created by his former guildmates looked up to him. In the same way a father can betray the respect of his children, Aints couldn't betray the members of Nazarick. That was why he practiced so hard. He at least wanted to look the part. Of course, what he was doing embarrassed him. That's why he locked the door. He also prohibited maids or his 8-edged assassin bodyguards in the shadows from entering. He would also periodically grow incapable of tolerating it and dive into his bed with a mortified cry. I need to act like the highest ruler of Nazarick should, he thought. Anguished, he flipped through his notebook. He had come up with many more lines in his spare time. They seemed never-ending. Aints Ulgaun was undead, so large emotional fluctuations were automatically suppressed. Still, I want to relax. The vestiges of Satoru Suzuki's mind were shrieking in exhaustion. I am sick of this, but he clenched his teeth. What am I doing? Moan Aints. He jeered at his pathetic wishing for escape and looked back at the mirror with renewed energy in his eyes. Beep, 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 beep. Just then an electronic noise sounded. It was music to his ears. He seized the band on his left wrist to stop the beeping and sighed in relief. If time's up, time's up. Yeah, time's up, so that's it for now. He didn't forget to throw the notebook into a box. When he closed the lid, multiple locks clicked shut. If anyone tried to brute force their way in, they would trigger multiple attack spells. These spells would utterly destroy the vicinity. Its defenses were so tight. Only someone level 90 with a thief-type class could open it, or someone level 80 or higher who was specifically geared to be a thief. Only after using this serious item did he put the notebook away in space. He put it into a place with many rare items. High-level thieves could even steal items that were put away. That said, even if they restrained their opponent, they couldn't steal everything. The limit was an item or two from a single player. Still, the prospect of being robbed once or twice was enough to make Aints shiver, even though he wasn't supposed to feel fear as an undead. And in this world, some people were born with special talents, so who knew what might happen? That's why he put the box in with other rare items. He figured any thief would steal something that looked more valuable. After putting it away, he reconfirmed something. Just like a housewife repeatedly making sure the door to the house is locked before going on vacation, Aints made his checks. Then he finally sighed. Only after all that was done did he leave his bedroom. He was headed for the room he used as his office. Albedo and Mare greeted him with deeply bowed heads to show their loyalty. A regular maid was also there. The boy's appearance in this place wasn't rare, but it was unexpected. Surprised, he crossed the room and sat in his ebony chair. He had rehearsed this movement more than 30 times, a way of sitting that didn't involve treading on his robe or loudly adjusting the position of his chair. Next, he focused on the way he leaned into it. Sitting back too fast or with too much weight was lame. A king had a king's way of settling into his chair probably, but he had no idea how a king leaned back. He'd love to see a king do it sometime. Business manners prescribed sitting on the middle of the seat and not leaning on the backrest, but Aints Ulgown wasn't a businessman. And so Aints practiced a way of sitting that he felt must be correct for a king. "Raise your heads." The three of them finally looked up. He found it rather annoying and a waste of time that they would never raise their heads unless he said something, but he couldn't disregard their desire to express their loyalty. So every time he bit his tongue and said the same thing. "Okay, first I'll ask Mayor what he's here for. How about it?" "Yes, sir." His voice cracked a bit out of nervousness. Aints smiled. Of course, his fleshless face didn't change shape, but it took on a sense of warmth. Perhaps Mayor was sharp enough to pick that up. He took a breath and seemed a bit less stiff. I brought this for you." Aints didn't ask, "What is it?" like a nastier boss might. If Mayor had something for him, he would simply take it. It was possible he was forgetting some order he himself had given. "Oh, I mean good." The maid stationed in the room today moved to receive it on his behalf, but Aints held out a hand to stop her. "Mayor, bring it here directly." "Yes, my lord." Mayor straightened his back and came forward to offer the folder. Aints took it unhurriedly and looked inside. "This is it's the invitation I sent around." 3 guardians had responded in the affirmative. "Given the order of the names, I expected one of Cocytus's underlings to bring it. Thanks for going out of your way, Mayor." "And no, it was nothing. Cocytus was busy, so I insisted on coming instead." Mayor stroked the ring on his left ring finger. It was a loving gesture. His ring of Aints Ulgown. "Well, I am glad he values it, but it's a little weird to put it on that finger, and why do his eyes glisten so much when he looks at me?" Feeling someone bristle, he glanced at Albedo out of the corner of his eye. She wore her usual smile. His eyes moved to her left ring finger. As he thought, she wore her ring there like Mare did. It was as if putting it there was the correct thing to do. What was the story? From ancient Greece or somewhere, a long time ago Yameko had told him the meanings behind wearing rings on certain fingers. Something about how a big artery that leads to your heart is in that finger on your left hand. And if you touch something bad for you with it, it sends a signal to your heart. So in Japan we call it a medicine finger and mix medicine with it. Does the sous chef wear his ring there too? "Oh, this is no good." He is still looking at me. Aints folded his hands on top of the desk. "What is it, Mayor? What are you looking at? Is there something interesting on my face?" He took extra special care to make sure he didn't sound angry. "And no, I was just thinking how cool you are." "I am cool." He unconsciously stroked his face. "Hoo ha ha, quite the talented brownoser aren't you, Mayor?" "It's not flattery." He shouted so loudly no one would have ever guessed it was him. Please excuse me, Lord Aints. But I really do think you're cool. Even just before, when you sat in your chair, it really seemed like the way the highest ruler of Nazarick should sit." Aints sent a questioning glance to the maid. The homunculus, intuiting her master's intentions, said nothing but nodded emphatically. "That's right," she seemed to say. He hadn't even looked at Albedo, but she was nodding vigorously to agree as well. Even her wings were fluttering. "I see. I am glad," Aints replied briefly. He stood and approached Mare. The boy thought he was going to be scolded, but instead Aints petted his head. It was a rough motion but full of love. Lord Aints, thanks Mayor, you always say things that make me happy. He didn't show any of Satoru Suzuki's feelings, but it's kind of embarrassing. I am always thinking how grateful I should be to my guildmates, to the other supreme beings. Aints got down on one knee to meet Mayor's eyes. Yeah. I am so grateful to them for making the great tomb of Nazarick, and for you, and for everyone. That includes you too, of course, Albedo and Sixus. Albedo's wings stuck straight out as if she was feeling rapturous. The maid, who had been called by her first name, got incredibly flustered. She was usually so calm and composed that Aints had to smile at her distress. You are all my treasures. Aints lifted Mayor up. I wouldn't even want to give you back to Bubbling Teapot. Thank you, Lord Aints. Sixus thanked him instead of Mayor, tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. All of us in Nazarick, thank you for remaining when so many of the supreme beings have gone. We may be inexperienced and offend you often. Perhaps it's rude to say this to one of our creators, but I will anyway. Please allow us to devote ourselves to you. I'll allow it. I believe I've said something similar to Albedo and Demiurge before, but I am the ruler of the great tomb of Nazarick, your master, Aints Gown. He was momentarily surprised that he pulled off these lines he hadn't rehearsed. But when he thought about it, it made sense. He was only saying what he truly thought, so what was there to even hide? Mayor hugged him, burying his face in his shoulder. It was good he wasn't wearing his usual gear. He heard the cool-headed part of his brain say. He felt the robe around his shoulder getting wet, but he let Mayor be. When the sniffling quieted, he petted his head and put him down. He took a handkerchief out of his pocket and wiped Mayor's face. It might have been the careless mopping of someone who had never wiped someone's face before, but Mayor let it happen. Okay, Mayor, go wash your face. What are you going to do, Lord Aints? I have to go to Rantle. There's a meeting with the guild leaders. I've been begging out of them up until now, but I've run out of excuses. Off I go. Aints checked on Albedo, who was conspicuously quiet. Her head was lowered, and her hair hid her expression. But the slight trembling he could detect scared him. It made him think of an active volcano about to blow its top. What is it, Albedo? Just then, hog. The scenery flew past his eyes as he was struck in the back. Of course, it didn't hurt. He wouldn't take damage from anything that wasn't magic. He did feel a slight impact from being hit, but there was nothing that could be termed pain. Even so, his human vestiges caused him to reflexively shut his eyes for a moment despite the lack of lids. It was so sudden he couldn't quite think straight. His undead mental makeup shouldn't have been able to be confused, so it had to be Satoru Suzuki again. NNGH, MRRF, when he opened his eyes, he saw his 8-edged assassins clinging to the ceiling. In other words, he realized he was lying on the floor. He tried to get up, but some unknown softness was crawling over his body, pinning him down. What the hell? I have an item that should give me perfect resistance against travel obstruction, and that includes holds. I should be freed the moment I am restrained. That must mean this is an extraordinarily powerful hold skill. The supple creature on top of him was exactly who he thought it was. Albedo. Lord Aints, straddling him, she sat up. What is it? What happened? Oh, we don't have to hold back anymore, do we? Her eyes opened wide. Her golden, dilated pupils made his spine freeze. What are you talking about? He asked, disturbed. Ignoring him, Albedo reached for the chest of her dress. With a little grunt, she tried to pull it down, but the garment didn't budge. Magic clothes are a pain. You either need to break them with a skill or take them off normally. Calm down, Albedo, get off me. He tried to shove her away, but she was a level 100 warrior. On top of that, when he pushed her, he felt something tender squish, and he couldn't follow through. Her hands moved and began to remove his robe. Don't strip me, don't move your hips. What this whoa, this is your fault, Lord Aints. I controlled myself for so long, but then you said something that made it impossible. This is all your fault. A little while will be enough. Just a little, a tiny little bit. Take pity on me for a few moments. It'll be over in the time it takes you to count the 8-edged assassins on the ceiling. If she had blamed him for rewriting her backstory, he probably would have lost the will to resist. But Albedo's behavior, put one way, it was like she was about to devour him, elicited more fear than guilt, so he struggled. Finally, everyone else, who had been overwhelmed with confusion, leaped into action. Mistress Albedo, you've gone insane. Mistress Albedo, you've gone insane. The 8-edged assassins jumped down from the ceiling. Get her away from Lord Aints. No. Don T completely restrain her. The hold LL get cancelled. Drag her away. It's impossible. She is too strong. It makes sense since she is the captain of the Guardians. Master Mayor, give us a hand. Okay. Aints was eventually freed, and after slowly rearranging his robe, he pointed at Albedo, whose arms and legs were being held by the 8-edged assassins. Albedo, 3 days of disciplinary confinement. The 8-edged assassins dragged her out of the room. Lord Aints, are you all right? I am fine, but was Albedo always that much of a weirdo? Did she eat something funky? He knew demon races didn't he have to eat, but she was still able to averted his eyes. I see. Well no, I am sure there is a lot going on. We can rule out work-related stress. Aints rose and called to the maid. He attempted to regain some of his obliterated dignity. He spoke in a forceful voice. Call Narbaril and Hamusuk. It is almost time for us to head to Rantel. 1:35 p.m. Nazarick time. Aints, astride Hamusuk, pulled the reins and brought her to a stop. He looked silently at the towering gates of Rantel up ahead. Though the massive gates could repel even a huge army, Aints wasn't averse to them. In the video game Yggdrasil, there were plenty more splendid gates. But these were made not with data, but with human hands, although the possibility of magical aid couldn't be ignored. Before those gigantic steely gates, fairly oozing history and hardship, an emotion he couldn't put a finger on welled up inside him. Even in Yggdrasil, there were guilds that conquered cities. I used to wonder why people would base their guilds somewhere so difficult to protect, but now I kind of get it. Maybe conquering a big city is just one of those male fantasies. In the Yggdrasil days, fights between guilds over cities broke out all the time. Most of the members of Aints Ulgaun had looked on coldly, saying they were unable to comprehend it, but a few voices called for them to take part. They were war crazy, huh? He didn't really like the phrase, but when he looked back on those times, they were good memories. What is it, Master? Hamusuk asked, wondering why she'd been stopped if he wasn't going to do anything. Don't worry about it. Aints' flat tone was meant to put an end to the conversation. He did it to hide the fact that if it got out he had been reminiscing, it would have been embarrassing. Okay, we were going to the guild, showing up at the meeting for a minute, and then immediately taking on a monster extermination job. They could have gotten a room in Rantel, but he didn't have the cash to spare. Aints did not eat or sleep. The only reason for him to stay at a first-rate hotel was to show off his rank as a first-rate adventurer and to make connections. But he was already acquainted with the movers and shakers in this city. They would welcome him if he visited, so there was no reason to spend money on an inn. Even if he took a room, he would only teleport to Nazarick and stay there doing odd jobs like creating undead until morning. In that case, it was much smarter to take an extermination job and leave the city right away. Honestly, he didn't feel there were many advantages to continuing to operate in Rantel. Is that so? You like to battle? That you do, Master. It's not that I like it. And besides, I say we'll go exterminating, but we'll get it over with so fast, we'll be spending most of the time at Nazarick, like usual anyhow. He bopped Hamusuk lightly on her huge head. We've got to train you so you can use weapons and armor, all kinds of gear. I am always working hard, that I am. Those lizard men teach me many things that they do. In no time, I am sure that I'll be able to learn a special move that I will. Oh, it would be perfect if you learned how to use martial arts. And how is your training partner doing? Does it seem like he'll learn to use martial arts? You ask. Yes, quiet, not much of a talker, that he isn't so I don't know. But I don't think he can yet. No, I don't yeah, probably not, thought Aints. He didn't expect that one to be very talkative, and he expected it to be impossible for him to learn martial arts. It was only an experiment, but if on the off chance the Death Knight Aints created could acquire warrior skills, they would need to make big changes to their plans. That is, if it was possible for him to get stronger via training that might become their highest priority. Undead don't sleep or get tired. They can train an infinite amount, so logically it would be strange if he didn't learn martial arts faster than you. But if he hasn't yet, then maybe it really is impossible. Wait, let me ask. He is doing his best too. Even after I teleport to my residence, he stays, silently working. Don't kill him, I beg you. I am not going to kill him. What kind of monster do you think I am, anyway? Indeed, there is no one kinder than Lord Aints in this world. Yes, even showing mercy and allowing a sad creature like you to live. Nabral's icy comment from behind them on her horse caused Hamusuk to shudder. Nabe, we ray almost to Rantle. Call me Momon from now on. Understood. And Hamusuk is an important figure in our plan to strengthen Nazarick. Treat those who work for the good of Nazarick accordingly. Know that this applies beyond Hamusuk as well. Sir, my apologies. He wanted to say, and stop calling humans ticks and lice, but she didn't listen when he reproved her, so he given up on that of late.